This video is going to be all about business bank accounts, why you need them, roughly how to get one, and my top recommendations on where you can get a business bank account that is fee-free and really easy to use. If we haven't met, hi, my name is Lydia, and I have a short-term rental, a long-term rental, and then this YouTube channel. So I have experience opening different business checking accounts to, receive income, but also to keep track of all my expenses. The reason it's really important to have separate business checking accounts, and ideally separate accounts for each of your businesses, separate from your personal accounts, is because A, it's easier for good record keeping so that everything related to that one business is kept in that same spot, and you can easily find out what you're spending money on, what the cash flow is like for your business, and come tax time, you have all of your expenses in one area and you can figure out what you can claim against your income. The second reason is if unfortunately you get audited by the IRS, you would at least be only showing them your business records and not like piles and piles of personal bank statements that have your random expenses like Sephora and then TJ Maxx and wherever else you go shop. Most of these business bank accounts don't have fees related to setting up anyway, and some even actually give you a bonus. So there's really no reason why not to set that up. And that brings us to how you actually get a business checking account. Now, if you're a sole proprietor, you can easily just get a business checking account under your own social security number and your own name. Your business could be completely new. You don't have to have like existing revenue for it. For the most part, all you need is just personal identification. If you are looking to open an account for an LLC, whether it's a single member one or one with the partnership, then you would probably need the articles of incorporation or some other formal document that shows that this LLC actually exists. You'll probably need your EIN, which you can get from the IRS for free. And also, side note, if anyone is considering a partnership, try not to do everyone at 25% or more, because when you open a bank account, every member in the LLC that holds 25% or more have to send in their personal identification and use their social security number for the application process. So for example, if you have like 3 or 4 people, think really carefully about how you want to split that up, just so you don't cause additional unnecessary headaches when you're trying to open a business bank account or get a business credit card. With that said, here are my top 4 favorite business checking accounts that I have personally used and continue to use today, and I'll highlight some of the pros and cons for each one. After that, I also have some honorable mentions. If your use case is a little bit different from mine, there are certainly a few other good ones that you can consider. Everything will be linked in the description box down below, and keep in mind some of these are affiliate links, which means I get a little bit of a commission if you do use the links to set up an account and fund the account. No pressure, you don't have to use them, but if you do, that really supports my channel and I want to thank you. The first one that I recommend to anyone, regardless if they are a real estate investor or some other business owner, is Novo. It has by far the cleanest user interface and some really powerful integration, so that if you're like selling on Amazon or selling on Etsy or using Stripe, that integrates into the app itself, which is amazing. Both the app and the desktop version are just really seamless user experiences. You can easily set up different buckets of money so that if, for example, you're saving for taxes on the side, if you want a certain percentage to be profit and stored away, that can be easily set up. In their transactions tab, you can also use that to keep track of receipts. I don't personally do that because I have a different bookkeeping system. And then lastly, if you ever need paper checks, it's pretty easy to set up your payee and then like type in their information and address, and it can print the check and send it to that person or county office on your behalf, and it's completely free. The 2 main downsides that I see with Novo is that you can't have separate businesses under the same login. And as you can imagine, if you have multiple rental properties and like the side YouTube hustle, that doesn't really work out so well to keep everything consolidated within one Novo app. The second downside is that you're not earning interest of any of your money, which is probably fine if you're not keeping a giant pile of cash and it's always revolving anyway, but that is something to consider. My second recommendation is Baselane. This one is more landlord focused, so that you can set up a Baselane checking account, and then additionally, you can use the same login and software to automate your rent collection. When I found Baselane, that was actually the highlight for me, because prior to that I was using Avail, which would charge a few dollars a month to automate reminders to my tenant and then collecting rent from them. Now switching over to Baselane, it's much easier. It's the same exact kind of feature without the fees. Their checking account also offers interest, and the amount of interest depends on how much money you have in that checking account. With it being built with landlords in mind, there's a way to separate out different sub accounts so that it's easier to tag the income and expenses from each property property, even though it's lumped into one overall business checking account. Baselane also has really good bookkeeping features. You can categorize your expenses, attach receipts, and overall just import your different expenses from different bank accounts into one consolidated bookkeeping software. Last but not least, Baselane has a sign-up bonus offer that is $300 for any new users who use my link. Now for the cons, I think the main one is that it does not have a mobile app. It makes it harder to deposit checks, and it also makes it more difficult to upload receipts on the go and do some of the bookkeeping and categorizing on the go, which is what I usually do for my Airbnb because the guest might be messaging about something. I buy a replacement item while I'm walking around and using my phone, and I want to immediately upload that receipt while it's still fresh in my head. Your use case may vary, and if you're looking for something that's purely just for long-term rental, Baselane would work perfectly, and that's what I currently use for my long-term rental. My third recommendation is Relay, and that is a new discovery for me. This one is not specific to real estate, but I think it works really well for that purpose because within the same login, you can set up different businesses. Some could be a partnership, some could be an LLC, and some could be just under your own name as a sole proprietor. And especially for me, this really worked because I have multiple different ventures, some of which are real estate and some of them are not. It's nice to have one consolidated place where you can look at all of your financials. And another feature that I really like is their profit first method. It's related to the book Profit First. And you can set up automated rules where, say, like 50% of your income goes towards whichever bucket. So it could be like taxes, it could be profit, it could be owner's distribution, whatever you like to call it. And within your account, you can actually set up 2 savings accounts that earn about 1% in interest at the time of recording. This interest is better than what Novo offers, but obviously not as strong as some of the more real estate specific accounts. If you sign up for Relay before the end of March and deposit money, they're currently running a promotion where you get $100 of sign-up bonus. I didn't even get the sign-up bonus when I got the account, but hey, take advantage of that free money. I'm currently in the process of switching everything kind of YouTube related over to Relay, and so far my experience has been really good. The main downside, I think, is the lack of a bookkeeping feature, unlike, for example, Baselane and Stessa, which is coming up. My fourth recommendation, as I just said, is Stessa. It actually started more as a bookkeeping thing, where you can enter information about each of your real estate properties, keep track of your loan and the value of the house, and figure out your loan to value ratio, and kind of at a glance look at your whole portfolio and how much equity is there. So their bookkeeping feature is definitely one of their strengths. It's easy to upload receipts, categorize expenses, and they also have an app where I still currently use this app to track all of my expenses, especially for the Airbnb as I'm on the go. I also really like that they have this Save Documents tab. You know how you get like rental licenses, your LLC gets registered related to your real estate, and you really just need this one centralized place to store all your documents, somewhere that is easily accessible as long as you have internet. Their checking account is listed under the Cash Management tab. It offers pretty good interest for a business checking account, and even higher interest if you upgrade to their Pro version, which obviously costs money. But even in the free version, you're getting some amount of interest. The downside to Stessa is that the app on the phone can be kind of clunky, and sometimes it crashes on the phone, which I feel like is also its main value prop. So it does annoy me when that happens. Fortunately, that's not all the time, and it's still very much usable. The other downside is really just the user interface. I feel like this looks very like Windows 98, and I just don't love it aesthetically compared to the other 3 that I mentioned. But it's certainly functional, it has great features that the other ones don't necessarily have, and it offers interest. Beyond those 4 options, I do have a few honorable mentions. Lili looked pretty intriguing, and on the basic free version, you do get some basic functionality of having a business checking account. But what potentially sets it apart is some of the bookkeeping automations, and on a higher tiered plan, you can get these pre-filled tax forms like a 1065, which is the partnership returns and generally is kind of a hassle and costs money to get a CPA to help you fill out. Definitely something you might want to look into if having pre-filled tax forms is something you value and wouldn't mind paying for. Another honorable mention is Mercury. Their user interface looks really slick, but I feel like it's more built for startups instead of like real estate investors. And then lastly, American Express. Their checking account also offers some level of interest, and I have mentioned them in previous videos. You could use the same login as your credit cards, and it's really nice to have that one consolidated place where you can see a bunch of different financials and keep track of things. I'm just currently a little bit annoyed with them right now because of a recent customer service scenario where I couldn't change my username, and Basically, now my credit cards and this business checking account are on 2 separate sign-ins, and that negates the whole point of using American Express in the first place. Lastly, another place you can look at is just your local smaller bank or credit union. Some of them offer fee-free accounts as well, and it might be helpful if your business entails a lot of cash where you need to like physically go deposit them, or if you need access to like a stack of physical paper checks for whatever reason. And if so, who are you? I'm just kidding. I hope this video was helpful to you if you're starting out your business or if you're looking at getting into Airbnb or rental real estate. Again, links to everything will be down below, and feel free to let me know if you have any questions. I hope you're having a good day, and I'll talk to you again next time. Bye!